Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Garage Journals. The Garage Journals will be video content that I'll be producing in between events that will bridge the gap between these events and will contain my ideas, my plans, analysis of previous events, analysis of completely unrelated stuff, hopefully related to at least motorsports and whatever I'm doing in my garage. So this is the first episode. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go, or whether I'm going to be making a lot of these, or this is just going to be a one-off. Who knows? Racing by the seat of my pants is the motto. So I figured today I can talk about the latest thing that I did to my car. I'll be doing a write-up about this sometime this weekend probably. But this is just a first look at the results of an alignment that I did this past week. As I may have hinted in the website and some of my articles, the Miata never had an alignment, so I've been using the factory alignment all this time. The problem with that is that the factory alignment, if there is even one, a lot of people think that the alignment that comes out of the factory in this car is pretty crappy to begin with, but the idea of the factory specs, at least, is to preserve the tires. I mean, mostly. So there's a desire to give the car a certain type of behavior. Obviously, the Miata is supposed to be a fun car, tossable, so you have a little bit of oversteer out of the factory, but not enough that can get people in trouble. So it's fairly stable. It's also supposed to be very stable in a straight line, fast at high speeds, which you would want for like highway driving and things like that. But none of this stuff really has a lot of bearing in autocross, or it detracts from what you want on a high G cornering car, and which is what autocross mostly is all about. Autocross is about grip. The factory alignment does not maximize the potential grip of the car for any given set of tires. So the process with aligning the Miata, aligning this car for me, was first to do a lot of research. Look at reports from from events. Look out there for drivers that have done well in, say, SCCA nationals and things like that. And some of them talk about the type of setups, the setup that they had in their cars, and specifically alignment numbers, things like camber, caster, toe, and which are the three components of an alignment. So with that in mind, you spend a lot of time researching, and you gather all the reports that you can, and you start getting a little bit of an education about what you think might be necessary, or I did at least what I thought was necessary to improve the grip, to improve corner performance, and hopefully increase my, be more competitive in my next event. So what I have here with me is the alignment report from the place where I took the car. I have 2 pages of it, and I'll try to display this as a side shot. I have a better shot of it. So what do we have here? So originally the car was supposed to be in the factory spec. Since it came straight out of the factory, I never touched the alignment. All I did to the car was new tires and wheels. And so the first part of the report talks about where the car was in terms of the angles and what was done to the car. So from this report here, by the way, it's the first time I'm looking at the report, so I Probably should have prepared, looked at the report before doing this video. What the heck? What do we have here? So we have, I got a red number on the right side. It looks like the toe in on the right rear, on the right front wheel was way off. Got a 20 point, a quarter of a degree toe in, I guess, on the front right, which is weird. But otherwise, you can tell that the car came out of the factory with practically zero camber. We got minus 0.1 and minus 0.2, and a good amount of caster. Caster is good for responsiveness and that sort of thing. For the rear, looks like the car came out of the factory with a decent amount of rear camber and some toe in, which I think Mazda recommends for the car. So the first attempt that the shop did at doing the alignment, they haven't done the fourth generation Miatas. This was their first. This is a pretty good shop. I really enjoyed working with them out of Maryland, Agile Automotive. They're about 15 minutes away from where I live, and what I liked about them is that they seem to do a lot of performance-oriented, track-oriented projects. So they are very aware. The guys that I talked to Tony over there and Chris. Tony has done a lot of autocross, has a lot of autocross experience, and he drove an S2000 if I remember my conversation with him correctly. And so he was very aware of the type of modifications that you would want to do. We talked about what the class variations, class permissible changes were, and within that context, we talked about what the target for the car was. But this was their first alignment on a performance alignment on a Mazda Miata of this generation. They do a lot of NAs and NBs, but this was the first NB that they did. So their first alignment wasn't quite. As I said, I did a lot of research, so I knew what I wanted from the car. And their first alignment wasn't quite that. So again, I'll have a top shot of this, but so they managed to pull off about a little less than 1 degree of negative camber on the front, which I knew was quite a bit beneath what was possible with the car. They practically maxed out the caster, and they gave me a little bit of toe in, but that's not an issue. That's not neither here nor there. But so they tried to make square camber with the rear matching the front, which is a decent setup. Now, a lot of people think that you might actually push the rear a little further out in terms of camber. But when they told me that they only gave me minus 0.9 of camber on the front tires, I told them that that's not enough and that the car probably can easily reach 1.5. So they went back to the alignment rack. They probably did some research of their own. And looks like I'm getting a package here, I think, where our neighbor is. But hopefully our neighbor's not going to start mowing their lawn right now, because it's a nice day outside. So that's the sort of thing that they usually do. I'm going to pause this for a sec. Okay, so here we are again. Right, where was I? I was talking about the first attempt that the shop did at an alignment, and after a discussion with them, it was clear that we could do a little better. So the alignment on the Miata, the fourth generation Miata, as far as I can tell from whatever I could find out online, is that the alignment seems to be, the camber on the front seems to be most limited on the left front tire. Don't know exactly why. My guess is something to do with the steering rack. And the approach, and it's also affected by the caster. So the caster, if pushed too far, can actually start reducing how much alignment, how much camber you can get. So if your target is autocross, you want to max out the camber on these cars, which doesn't go very far to begin with, but so you need that as much as you can get. So you max out the left front camber, and then you match the camber. You mirror the camber on the right side, on the passenger side. Then you push the caster as far as you can get it without losing any camber. And once you do that, you go to the rear, and then you decide your strategy in the rear can vary a bit. The more camber you put on the rear, if you don't have square camber and you push the camber in the rear past what the front does, you're going to introduce understeer in the car, which I'm not a big fan of. A lot of people are not a big fan. It reduces it slows down how fast your car can turn and rotate. And autocross is basically all about turns and about doing them fast. And of course, if you go too crazy with oversteer, your car becomes hard to control, and that's a different story. But for the Miata, my approach was to get square camber or maybe a little more camber in the rear. So in any case, their first attempt did not work very well. We went back to the drawing board. I explained to them more or less these things that I had found out about the car. They were very receptive, and they looked a little more carefully into that. They got Tony, which was this guy that had the autocross experience, to do the alignment himself. Cool enough, he did the alignment in the car, so it's ballasted with his weight. He's a bigger guy than I am, but it's better than have the car empty while you're doing the alignment. So their second attempt was much more successful, and he was really able to bring both sides to 1.5 camber in the front, that was fantastic. So the final alignment numbers in the car are minus 1.5 degrees of negative camber left and right. The sheet's not showing that because he was telling me that in order to print out the sheet, he had to step out of the car to print out the sheet. So that would change the alignment numbers a little bit. But while he was in the car, the alignment is what he wrote it with the pen here on the side. So I got a 1.5 degree of negative camber on both front and right, and I got close to 8 degrees of caster on the front, which is fantastic, which I think is very good. You really want to max that out to increase steering feel. And he gave me a little bit of toe out on the front, which he explained should give me a better turn in, and the car should start steering into the turn a little faster, which I think is very good. If it works that way, I'll probably enjoy that. And he gave me practically no toe, or just a slight amount of toe in the rear, which should increase stability. So I got minus 1.5 camber, minus 1.4 degrees of camber on the rear, a little less than in the front. This is fine. Maybe, depending on how the next events go, I might go back in there and get a little more camber in the rear. I think the toe in is going to be an interesting experience. The toe out on the front, the toe in the back is going to be an interesting experience. A lot of people talk about just zero toe everywhere. I don't know. There's a lot of different reports. I guess it depends on the type of driving, the driving style that you have. But anyways, if you compare here, and I'll post a better picture of these on the video, but hopefully you'll be seeing a top view right now, a close-up of the sheets. But between the factory alignment and the final alignment, what I have here is a much more neutral steering direction here. The pointing looks like to be a little closer to center. I definitely get a lot more camber. Basically, there was no camber before, or it was practically positive camber. Not really, but it was practically no camber before. And I get a proper toe adjustment on both sides, and I've got it looks about the same caster, which is fine. I don't think these things go more than 8 degrees or so without losing your capability of doing camber. If you look at their first attempt at alignment, looks like they could push the camber to 8.6. I guess it depends also on a lot of other things because the measurement at the day was a little different than with the loaded car. So it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the next event, which is in a week, exactly a week from today. Same venue, the brand new Wine Motorsports Club Autocross 3 event at the Leidos Field in Aberdeen. I'm really looking forward to that. I hope we'll have the same competition that we had in the previous one. It's really hard to measure your progress if your competition keeps changing all the time. That's why I like the fact that there's a guy there, Nick, that drives a Miata that we've been pretty close together in time, so we can really benchmark each other across the events. I hope, and I'm pretty sure he was going to be there next event, so hopefully he hasn't done too much in his car to improve his performance because I need to be ahead of him. He's my nemesis. I definitely want to see more of the same guys that were there last event, especially the winner of our class. Drives I think it's a 2000 Porsche Boxster, and I really want to get much closer to his time than I was last time. He was like a good 2 seconds ahead of me, something like 37 seconds versus 39 seconds. And if I can shave some of that time, I'd be very happy. And it'd be a good indication that this alignment actually helps. Unfortunately, my experiment is going to be a little flawed because I intend to do some brake work. So I will flush the brake lines and I'll put better racing fluid in there. It shouldn't affect much, but I will change the braking pads as well to a racing compound. That should change the behavior of the car. So we'll have two variables that would have been altered for next event. So I won't be able to tell for sure which one did what. Could I wait on the brake work? Yeah, probably. Yeah, sure, I could. But then, what if I can get better times with the brakes on? So I want to do better in the events. I don't care. Science be damned. I just want to do. I want to get better times. So that's it. I guess the other thing that happened in the past few days is I really cleaned the you-know-what out of the garage. It was quite a rat's nest here, and I got some shelving put up. I'll post some pictures online, or add some pictures to this video. But it's so much cleaner. The storage is so much better now. I had a bunch of crap all over this bench. I still have a bunch of crap all over this bench, but it will. So I can actually, I have a little more room now, and I will put these things away and probably trash a few of these things to make sure that this bench is clean, empty. But yeah, the new storage is fantastic. I got a lot of stuff in there that was just sitting around on the floor and made things pretty awkward to walk around here. So that's it. I'll probably have, I haven't decided yet, but I might have a video of the brake work that I'll be doing this weekend. And hopefully that will be instructive if you want to do some brake work on your Miata. There's a million videos out there talking about how to do brakes, how to change brake pads, how to flush this and that. But this will be a video made by somebody that's not really that experienced, so maybe you have that aspect going for it that might, I don't know, some people might be more interested in seeing someone without a lot of experience, because if you get somebody that has a lot of experience doing these videos, they just make it look so easy. And then when you're trying to do it, you're just gonna think, what the hell? How did he do this part? How did he do that part? So hopefully I can bring some of that side into the story, and might be a little more relatable. But that's it for now. This was Garage Journal number 1. Yeah, cool. Yeah, have a good day. I'll see you around. Keep racing.